After a busy NBA trade deadline, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now poised to be a real threat in the Eastern Conference and perhaps represent the conference in the NBA Finals this season, especially the addition of James Harden, who has been a seamless fit, like always, for the Cleveland Cavaliers since being acquired in a trade with the Los Angeles Clippers. On the screen now, you're seeing James Harden's season stats. There's a lot to point out. Obviously, he's been highly productive both for the Clippers this season and then now recently the last 3 games for the Cavaliers right before the All-Star break. On the year, he's averaging 25 points, over 8 assists per game, and nearly 2 stocks per game as well, while adding in roughly 5 rebounds a night. And then one key statistic from his actual play-by-play tracking data that I thought was really instrumental to include in this video as well today was his overall catch and shoot volume, where he's at nearly 2 catch and shoot 3-point attempts per game, and he's shooting over 36% on those catch and shoot opportunities, which I do think will be very relevant and an important little piece of information to keep in mind going into the postseason as we continue to examine his fit off of Donovan Mitchell. The 2 Adidas superstars have been very, very fun to watch together so far. And I think there's some advanced numbers that we have to take a look at here as well. With Harden on the floor, this is over the last 3 games since his arrival in Cleveland. The Cavaliers with him on the court are averaging nearly 121 points per 100 possessions, a very strong offensive rating. And that's kind of a testament to how good of a player James Harden is. When you're making such a big addition, a huge change into your style of play, sometimes, especially at a high volume ball handler like Harden is, it can be hard to immediately adjust, and sometimes teams see a little bit of a dip in the process. Not Cleveland. They've won all 3 games since acquiring James Harden, and he has been awesome for them with a plus 4.5 net rating with him on the floor. That is equivalent to what Anthony Edwards is posting this year from a net rating standpoint with low leverage removed. He's been extremely effective and efficient in his Cavaliers minutes so far, boasting nearly a 33% assist rate, which is very, very gaudy. A near 68% true shooting rate, which that probably will trend downward just a little bit. This year he's been a little less efficient than even his normal standards, but he's been very effective, and I do think he's going to be able to pick his spots a little bit more for Cleveland than he was able to do for the Clippers, trying to keep them afloat this season earlier in the year. And then his usage rate is at a very low mark right now, under 22% usage for James Harden from his first 3 games with the Cavaliers. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't have the ball in his hands. He's just picking his spots, and he doesn't necessarily leave that same impact that he did when he was in Houston and even Brooklyn to a certain extent. Philly, of course, now obviously Los Angeles. He was just tremendous for the Clippers, made All-NBA last year. He's been a high usage player for pretty much a majority of his career, especially after being traded out of Oklahoma City. But first 3 games in Cleveland, the usage rate's not quite there. Now he's on the ball a lot, and we're going to break down everything that we're seeing. And again, I want to go back and highlight that catch and shoot volume, because in his beginning stages with Cleveland, there's been a lot of catch and shoot opportunities. And I specifically wanted to start with this clip right here. In his very first game, you see Devin Carter sends a second body to the basketball, and Harden, especially in his heyday back in Houston, probably wouldn't have been active in a play like this. He probably would have just been stationary, stagnant, not really ready to catch and shoot. In this clip, you're actually going to see a relocation from him over toward that right slot, right wing area, and that just gives him that little bit of extra space against a Devin Carter closeout, which is very, very good. And then he takes that shot. Now, it doesn't go in, but again, we're evaluating the process and examining how his play has impacted Cleveland. And for him to fit into this offense is going to be very important for him to be active off the ball. Now, he's never going to be a super high volume cutter. It's not like he's going to get up 7 or 8 catch and shoot threes in a game. That's just not very realistic. But when there's extreme gap help like Russell Westbrook, who completely falls asleep, this is, of course, if you watch Westbrook over the last 10 years, this is kind of a habit of his. Loses his man Harden, slight relocation, doesn't get the 3 to go again there, but you can trust the process. He's ready to shoot. He's being a little active off the ball, and I do think those are some really nice signs of his future success with Cleveland, even going into the postseason. Here, Keon Ellis, who was a great addition for the Cavs as well from Sacramento at the trade deadline, throws a kick out here to James Harden. Again, active, ready. This is 7 minutes left in a close game against Sacramento. Harden knocks that one down because, again, he's playing within the process, ready to catch and shoot. Keon Ellis goes dribble handoff here with Harden, and Devin Carter, once again, out of position, needs to be up on this, but following an offensive rebound, it's, kind of a broken play. Harden's able to get an open look and score that one. Again, you're seeing in crunch time here, 5-point game, 3 minutes to go, gets that one to go. He was brilliant at the end of his debut game with Cleveland against Sacramento, where he was just on fire, and a lot of it came playing off of the ball, which is not what you're accustomed to saying about James Harden. Here, Donovan Mitchell draws Nick Clifford, and Harden left alone in secondary transition, 6 seconds off the shot clock, and he gets that one to go. That gave them the lead with 2.5 minutes left, and obviously they went on to win. Donovan Mitchell loved it. I loved it watching. I hope you guys are loving this video, by the way. Leave a like and subscribe if you are. And then obviously we know who James Harden is. At the peak of his powers, winning MVPs, being the best scorer arguably in NBA history. Obviously there's a lot of great company that he's in that conversation with. This video I think is going to not only showcase what he's bringing to Cleveland, but it really is a testament and a testimony to how talented of a player James Harden is. It's almost impossible for someone like this, with this kind of on-ball volume and how he's going to be forced to read defenses. It's so hard to just adjust to another team's style of play, playing with new guys, chemistry, building all of that. You're going to see in this video how talented this guy is and why I truly believe he is the best offensive player the league has ever seen from a dribble, pass, shoot standpoint, because he is just unstoppable with his ability to process, read defenses. Here he's got Dylan Cardwell switched out onto him. He's going to go into his little signature size up there, hit a step back three. We know who James Harden is. That's going to be some of the fun stuff he brings to Cleveland, as well as an isolation score. And one of the nice things is with Donovan Mitchell on the court, in the playoffs, Mitchell's going to have the best defender on him, you would have to presume. So that's going to create more opportunities for Harden as a secondary option scoring the basketball, which is going to be very, very good for him. So that's something in Los Angeles when Kawhi was at his best. The Clippers were pretty much unstoppable because they had two really dominant on-ball players who could score from any spot on the floor seemingly. And now in Cleveland, not only do you have that, but you don't have the availability question as much. Harden's constantly available. Donovan Mitchell plays a ton of games every single season. These two guys are more likely than not going to be ready and available to play almost every single night. And that's going to be a really great weapon and something that's going to be difficult to match up with in the Eastern Conference. You see him now working in isolation against Daquan Plowden, beats him off the bounce cleanly, gets to a nice little floater. The isolation scoring, it's not going to be at the level it was in Houston, but we know that he's capable. You're going to see a clip here in transition as well, where he's just attacking in the open floor a little bit. Gets Jamal Murray on him. Jamal Murray's really never been able to find a lot of success defending James Harden. There's a lot of historical examples of that. Harden just a super clean blow by there, and then Nikola Jokic is kind of stuck in a bind of, okay, do I step up? And if I do, I'm leaving Jared Allen's body. And that's why Cleveland is such a great fit for Harden, which is why I like the trade for them so much. Here he is against full court pressure with Plowden. And then Jared Allen comes up to set a flat ball screen. I'm going to back this up just a little bit. This flat ball screen right here is going to be a really great weapon in the playoffs, especially when full court pressure exists frequently, for getting Harden downhill, setting him up, and then putting opposing big men into a drop where they're trying to retreat back to the rim. And what this does now is it puts Jared Allen into a spot where he can roll to the rim pretty freely, because Harden does such a good job engaging drop defenders. You see Cardwell this entire time has to be aware of Harden, tries to contest him at the rim, but Harden, that floater is still so good, it's going to be very difficult to stop him once he gets that downhill space. This right here, I think, is a great sign of things to come for Cleveland. They set up with this super high horns look, where Dennis Schroeder is going to get this first screen on Cam Johnson, and then Jared Allen, what he's doing right here in this spot is reading what the defense is doing. Jamal Murray a little bit out of position early here on this. Now it's a super high ball screen, so you can maybe get away with it typically. But Jared Allen's going to get just a small hit here on Jamal Murray after a very good screen from Schroeder. Now look at how this play sets up. We see a low man here for Denver trying to take away Jared Allen, but now you've got Jonas Valanciunas in drop coverage again. And this is where, again, Harden's one of the best offensive players ever at the very bare minimum. Even if you don't believe he's the best, he is one of the best. That's pretty much undeniable for anyone who is talking seriously about the sport. Comes downhill, Jonas Valanciunas in drop. Really, Denver stands no chance here against Harden in that spot. Now, this series right here, I think, is one of the most important things, and it has to do with Donovan Mitchell's gravity. In that last clip, I showed how Denver was using a low man to try and take away that role pretty aggressively. The issue, and this is where Kenny Atkinson, the Cavaliers coaching staff, is incredibly smart, and why having two guys who are constantly available is going to be a real nightmare for teams to guard, because the Cavaliers are just going to go put Donovan Mitchell over in this corner. And you might say, okay, well, what's the point of that? You're putting your best player away from the ball. What's the benefit here? The benefit is you get to manipulate how teams are going to defend you now because of that. With Jarrett Allen coming up to set a screen for James Harden to his left hand here, watch what happens to Christian Braun, who is on the weak side here. This is your low man. This is your weak side low man tag defender. Allen gets a good screen here on Cam Johnson. Keon Ellis is setting a Spain screen here on Nikola Jokic. He'll be able to free up over the top. And what this causes now, Christian Braun, who's a little worried to leave Donovan Mitchell's body, he is late as low man help. So Harden, who gets a super deep paint touch here to begin with, at the end of the play, he still does have Donovan Mitchell, but also Jarrett Allen, if Jokic doesn't get tagged up on the Spain screen, is going to have an offensive rebound because Braun is out of position because he's late to rotate off of Donovan Mitchell's body. This clip just ends with Harden getting again to his left hand on a floater, but some of these other clips, which you're going to see, this is something Cleveland's going to do a lot, and it's going to be very, very effective for them. It's almost impossible to guard. This was a really nice fake screen, rescreen set here where Allen makes it look like he's going to screen to his right. Maxime Reynaud is now out of position because of that. Nick Clifford tries to ice this screen, and as a result, they are able to take advantage of that, exploit it. Allen flips his hips, gets a screen now onto the left side, allowing James Harden to get to his left hand. And notice Russell Westbrook, right? Russell Westbrook is now that weak side low man responsible for Donovan Mitchell. And as Jarrett Allen rolls here, Harden, who is extremely selfless, and we've seen him with a variety kind of star players. He's been next to star wings like Durant and Kawhi Leonard. He's been with another star guard like Kyrie Irving and Chris Paul. He's been with a superstar big man like Joel Embiid, who won MVP playing with him, and a big reason why he won MVP was this exact action right here. Hitting him in the short roll right around the free throw line. And that's where Joel Embiid dominates. And guess what? Jarrett Allen's got really great hands. He's able to catch the ball consistently. He's got tremendous touch around the rim. This is a beautiful pairing for Cleveland. The Harden-Jarrett Allen pick and roll combo is going to be so lethal and very difficult to defend, especially when Donovan Mitchell's in this corner, because notice Russell Westbrook's not able to make a play here because he was worried about Donovan Mitchell's gravity. And Jarrett Allen gets an easy two-handed flush at the rim as a result. We're going to go back to that same high horns look. Remember, we talked about it earlier with Dennis Schroeder setting that first screen. Here's another example of it. Schroeder sets the first one. We're going to see Jarrett Allen set the second one. And look who we got over here again. This is going to be the cream of the crop. This is going to be the best possible option here for the Cavaliers. It looks identical to the first time they ran this play. It's different this time. But notice Donovan Mitchell with a slight lift. He's technically open here, but the Cavs went completely at Nikola Jokic all night long in their matchup with Denver last week. And Harden got to his left hand constantly in that matchup against his drop. Same thing here now. We're getting a little bit of a handoff pick and roll action. Harden, again, coming down to his left hand. You got Sam Merrill here, one of the best shooters in the NBA. That's going to be a guy you don't want to help off of in the gap. And now we have Jarrett Allen rolling into space. And look who, again, is in the corner. Donovan Mitchell. And rookie Nick Clifford now has a really tough decision to make. Do I stop the roll man who's going to have an easy dunk? Or do I allow their best player to stand wide open in the corner? He ultimately makes a choice. Now, there's a little bit of a misfire here and a little bit of a miscommunication. Mitchell lifted. Harden didn't see the lift, but Mitchell's able to corral it, and that's about as easy of an opportunity Donovan Mitchell is going to get in the NBA. Teams are not going to allow him to get that super frequently, which is why you're starting to see why the spacing context is going to be so dominant and so good, and why Harden's ability to score the ball as a driver, as a shooter, as a isolation scorer, pick and roll player, and his ability to pass makes him just an extreme mismatch issue, because no matter what you give him, whatever your team defense is lacking, whether it's low man help, whether it's allowing driving kicks, driving dump offs, Harden is going to exploit you in a big way. Here's another great example of it, a little bit of a shallow action. In fact, I'm going to back this up just so I can talk about this a little bit more, just so you guys can all see it. Donovan Mitchell here is basically, this is a three-man action between these three Cavaliers players. And Donovan Mitchell is just going to shallow cut this underneath the ball screen. And what that does is it complicates your help because you don't have any help from the strong side corner. This is completely empty here. So You have no one to help. Now, Maxime Reynaud's caught in between. When this play materializes, Nate Clifford is now caught between two guys. He's caught between Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. And obviously the Kings are not a good team, but this is something that the Cavaliers are going to be able to exploit frequently against a bunch of teams. Even with Jalen Tyson cutting across this baseline to get now to the weak side of the floor as Harden works to his left hand, now DeMar DeRozan's caught between two guys. And this is going to be a consistent situation that the Cavaliers are able to exploit because they have a pick and roll player who can make any pass in the game, draws two to the basketball consistently, and can make any pass. Jared Allen does a nice job corralling this basketball and then ultimately finishes at the rim as well because he's got tremendous touch. Here's another one. They were trying to set up a ball screen to the middle so that, once again, Donovan Mitchell would be in the weak side. Doesn't actually play out that way, but now Harden's just able to flip his hips, beat Julian Strawther off the bounce, and notice Christian Braun. Once again, strong side of the floor. He's one pass away. He's not going to let Donovan Mitchell catch this ball, which allows the Cavaliers to work 2-on-2 in this situation. Harden and Jared Allen versus Strawther and Nikola Jokic, and you like your odds offensively against that pairing. Really nice push shot there on a dump off from Harden. Once again, I'm going to back it up here quick just so you guys can exactly see. The moment that he gets two guys on the basketball, we got one and we've got two right here with Nikola Jokic. Once you get those two guys onto the basketball, someone is open, and it puts Cam Johnson in this situation in a bind. Harden's going to make the right play 99% of the time. Jared Allen obviously has the skill set to finish it as well. Very similar to how Ivica Zubac was so dominant with the Clippers next to James Harden. We're seeing Jared Allen find a lot of that success as well. And I think that pairing's going to be a lot of fun. I included this clip here as a kind of a fun highlight too, to show James Harden's passing ability on a real sprint here in transition. He's able to float up a left-handed lob up to Jared Allen, who punches it home. And then I also thought, remember, catch and shoot. We talked about his readiness playing off the catch and shooting the basketball. We also have gotten to see that a little bit as a driver, and his pairing with Jared Allen. Once again, the Wizards here now try to send a second body to Harden, and Jared Allen, who's got great hands, great touch, just sits in the pocket, nice two-handed catch, and a nice little finish right there at the rim. It's not a dunk, it's not a big, oh my gosh, highlight, but it's just really good team basketball. Donovan Mitchell attacks here, kicks out to Merrill. Merrill forces rotation. Harden catches, attacks immediately. And look at, again, he gets a second guy to the basketball as Keyshawn George steps up. Jared Allen is forcing Bub Carrington to tag him low. And look at what that gives Donovan Mitchell. Someone who, again, on the scouting report, you're hoping Donovan Mitchell doesn't get anything easy. Harden's going to give him some easy stuff, and that's going to be a real elevator to the Cavaliers offense, not only in the regular season, but also come playoff time. Here Harden's attacking against Tim Hardaway Jr., nice little herky jerk, then drive and kick. So it's not only just the drive and dump off, but obviously in his time in Houston and since then as well, he's been able to exploit help and getting to spots on the floor. Here he takes a nice little kick out from Donovan Mitchell, attacks a really poor closeout from Cam Johnson, gets to the rim, kicks it out to Sam Merrill, one of the best shooters in the NBA. He's not going to miss that clean of an opportunity either. Throughout this entire video, you're probably seeing how the Cavaliers' offensive context, the amount of talent that they have on the floor, their personnel, and the congruence of their personnel together makes them a real dangerous team, not only in the Eastern Conference, but perhaps to win it all, depending on how shooting goes and if some other team has an ankle injury or, obviously knock on wood, but they're in position where if things go their way, if they get a couple of bounces, if guys have a nice shooting stretch for a 2-week period in the finals or Eastern Conference finals, they could be in position to possibly win a championship. Would I bet on them winning it? Probably not. Obviously, Oklahoma City is going to be a real bear to ever beat. But this team is really, really talented. We'll see how Boston looks if Jason Tatum does come back from injury. There's a lot of questions right now. The Knicks are going to be good. The Detroit Pistons are tremendous as well. Defensively, they're going to be able to throw bodies at both Harden and Mitchell, which is a real advantage for them in that series. But Cleveland's going to be a threat. They're going to be very good. And then when you have Flair like that, my goodness. This is why he's one of the best offensive players ever. Just a beautiful left-handed behind-the-back pass using his dominant hand. Here's a nice little two-man game with Jared Allen, getting to see some of that touch, some of his ability to catch, finish, score around the rim over a guy like Maxime Reynaud, who's another rookie. And then some of the creativity from Harden. Here's a baseline out-of-bounds play. They just get Donovan Mitchell on a nice little mid-post isolation, essentially, where he just goes up, catches, and tries to finish one-on-one within 8 feet of the hoop. This play I thought was really instrumental. Denver last year, especially after their coaching change, they've been a very heavy zone usage team, and they have a pretty unique scheme here. What they're really willing to give up in their zone is these shots right here off of the wing. And what that really looks like is a guy like Cam Johnson here. He's going to stunt at the basketball and immediately recover back down to the corner. But when you have a guy like James Harden, who's as dynamic as he is, you can get Christian Braun to send a second body at him because of the Jared Allen screen here. You're not just going to allow him to get downhill. And then Jalen Tyson's able to catch here because you drew Christian Braun's body. Now, Cam Johnson does exactly what I told you he would do. He stunts back towards Sam Merrill in the corner. Jalen Tyson gets a wide open three. Harden, and listen, they're not going to face Denver most likely in the playoffs given West versus East situation. But even some of these junk defenses and zones, Harden is just a master. He knows, he's seen everything in the NBA. He's been guarded more intelligently than any other player in the history of the game. Teams have thrown pretty much every single thing at him. The kitchen sink. They've tried playing behind him. Quinn Snyder tried that with Ricky Rubio. They've tried everything. They blitzed him at half court. They blitz him on ball screens. They blitz him on side ball screens. They send bodies at him on drives. He has seen every kind of defense in NBA history, and he knows how to beat them all. And with Cleveland having so much talent around him, they're going to be very successful. One thing I really loved, obviously, as they're trying to work out their chemistry, get him really acclimated to playing with the Cavaliers, they used this game against Washington to really focus on building up their set plays. This is the very first play of the game, and notice that they're going to a set play here with him working off the wing, and they're just trying to get Jared Allen a nice little catch here on a curl action. He gets a nice easy finish at the rim. Obviously, Washington's not a good team, and the Cavaliers knew that, so they were just running set plays, trying to get some easy opportunities, get Harden acclimated to the playbook a little bit, know what his options are, bringing the ball up the court. If there's something he sees that he wants to take advantage of, here's a nice little horns flare look. Then Jared Allen comes over to screen, and Sam Merrill gets an easy back cut. So Harden's ability to navigate defenses, pick apart defenses with either set plays or high pick and roll, it's going to be a really nice addition. It has been a nice addition so far. Now, I'm not going to sell you here on the fact that James Harden's an elite defender or anything like that. I don't want to lose all my credibility. But he's not nearly as bad of a defender as people say he is, as ESPN treats him. Now, he's had some really horrible moments which go viral and kind of leads into that narrative. But when he is active and engaged, which he has been for a majority of his career even, he can be a positive. And one of the things that you're going to mostly see from him is defending in the corner. And one of the positives for Cleveland about acquiring James Harden over Darius Garland is he's about 4 or 5 inches taller than Darius Garland. He's significantly stronger and heavier than Darius Garland. And he gives you more matchup lineup versatility, whether that's playing him next to Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder, and Donovan Mitchell. You can play 4 guards. You can play him next to Sam Merrill and Jalen Tyson in your starting lineup with Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, when Evan Mobley's back, that's going to be another little wrinkle in addition size-wise for them as well. But the Cavaliers are just a lot bigger now, upgrading from Garland to Harden. They're just a significantly bigger team. They're better at rebounding. They have more positional size across the board, and it gives them more lineup versatility. And when Harden's a low man here, see his ability to play out of low man situations. It's really good X out, covers over for the gap help that Donovan Mitchell gave. Very good stuff. Again, you're going to see him low man here. He's basically picking up this cutter here from Cam Johnson, but then he's ready to play off of that as well. Closes out here to Julian Strawther, shows a high hand, forces middle, does a really nice job containing the basketball, and then not only does he force a miss, but he's able to grab the rebound and then start your transition attack as well. So his 5 rebounds a game, listen, a lot of them aren't contested, but the nice thing about having your guard rebound is it's immediately in his hands and he can push and go instead of looking for an outlet. So there's a lot of benefit there. He does a nice job here chasing over the top. Then even though he bails and leaves his feet, he's able to stay in the picture here, and then ultimately does get the block on Jamal Murray, and again rebounds it. Now you're starting your transition attack once again. So there's, again, a lot of positives here defensively for Cleveland with him in the mix. And once Evan Mobley's back, you're talking about the reigning defensive player of the year. This Cavs defense is about to level up again. So I really wouldn't have a lot of concerns about Harden defensively. Now, the biggest thing is how active will he be in his rotations? But we've seen a lot of activity. Here's a really nice block off the glass against Julian Strawther. Harden, I mean, obviously, honeymoon phase. Obviously, that's been kind of the big thing on social media about him. But he's been super engaged and active. And he's got really active hands. He's one of the smartest players in NBA history. He's always been a deflection machine, even going back to his poor defensive days in Houston a little bit. He's always been very, very good at getting his hands on the basketball on the defensive end of the floor. This possession, I think, is an indicator of, like, hey, he can kind of lose who he's defending at times because he's somewhat of a ball watcher. But that's okay because you have other smart players around him. Jared Allen recovers back out to Valanciunas' body. Harden recovers here. And then there's a great indication of how that size plays out. If this is Darius Garland here, this is probably a bucket for Denver. Harden's just bigger. He's got better defensive ball skills, and he's able to put them on display there with a block. He's been able to get his hands on the basketball a lot, and he's been tremendous for Cleveland in his first 3 games with them. And I think post All-Star break, we're going to see him even more acclimated, probably a little bit more comfortable with the system as well. Not sure how much he's been working with the coaching staff over the All-Star break. I don't have that information for you, but I do think he's going to be a tremendous player for Cleveland. This guy just knows how to play basketball. He fits with almost any kind of talent. And when you have good players around him, like a Jared Allen, like a superstar in Donovan Mitchell, like Evan Mobley when he comes back, Harden's going to be able to make all of this stuff work, go, operate, and run. And I think it's going to be a very, very good team and a very tough team to beat in the playoffs. I know people are going to say James Harden's a playoff dropper. You got to look at his numbers in the postseason. You got to look at his winning. He's won since he came into the league, I think top 10 in playoff wins in that stretch, which is incredible. The only guys above him, like half of them are Golden State Warriors. I believe it's Iguodala, Draymond, Curry, Clay, that 4. And then you have LeBron, obviously. And then there's a few others as well in there. I think Durant maybe has a couple more playoff wins, but really he's in like an elite club of like the 5-10 best players ever when it comes to playoff victories and playoff series wins. And pretty much every time he's lost in the playoffs, it's been to the team that has gone on to either represent their conference in the finals or win the NBA finals. So I really don't think we should hold against him the fact that he lost to the Kevin Durant Warriors a couple of times. Like, he's the only guy who ever pushed that team to 7 games. And he did it with Trevor Ariza and PJ Tucker. He didn't do it with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson next to him. So had this guy had some better teams in 2016, 2017, 2018, who knows where he would have been from a winning standpoint. And even if you go back to that 2018 Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, there's a lot of questions about the officiating. So, there's a lot of what ifs for James Harden, and I hope we can get past those. And if this is the year for him to maybe get past those, represent the East in the NBA Finals, kind of get over that hump, so to speak, bringing a team there and helping Donovan Mitchell win in Cleveland would be huge. But the Cavaliers are a real threat, whether they win or not. I don't really think that's an indicator on James Harden. I more so think it's kind of a sign that, hey, he gets you in that conversation almost every single year. And they're going to be a very good team in the playoffs. They're going to be very tough to beat. Kenny Atkinson's a great coach. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.